Mickey Collins is Kevin Forde's fourth novel, and readers who've had the good fortune to get their hands on it have said from the moment the story began until the last sentence, it was a treat that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's also been described as heartbreakingly hilarious and sad, funny and unforgettable. So I met up with Kevin Forde during the week to find out a little bit more about Mickey Collins. Two names everyone should remember. There's two names here. There's Kevin Forde and there's Mickey Collins, and you have to remember both of those names because at the end of this interview, that's how you'll find a book called Mickey Collins by Kevin Forde. How long has Mickey Collins been a friend of yours, Kevin? Because you created him, didn't you?
Yeah, well, he's stuck in my head for the last number of years, but I don't know if I'd call him a friend.
A friend.
He's
a companion.
He's a kind of someone I hold dear to myself. I can't get him out of my head. I need to get him out there and push him on.
What I'm looking at now and what I have in my hand is a fine tome of a book, and Theo Dorgan has already praised it as well. You met Theo recently, we'll get around to that later. Mm-hmm. So I asked Kevin, where did the whole idea come from?
Well, really, it came from a lady who read a previous book of mine, that Mickey's my fourth novel, previous book of mine called The Leaving Cert, and I kind of half know Mary O'Regan. She sent me a card after she read it, and she said she loved it. We'll have to meet for coffee. So we met for coffee, and then she's like a child advocate herself. She's dealt with a lot of cases like this, like a young troubled kid basically growing up in Cork. She's had dealings with a lot of them and fostered different kids and stuff. But anyway, she was telling me about the different things that goes on, and she said I have to write a book about it, and she was talking about something, factual books and stuff. But the more she went,
real lives, real children, real troubled children who need guidance, who need fostering, who need direction, who need a path in life.
Yeah, they're out there, and there's a lot more than what you think. The more Mary went on about it, the more I realised I can't write a factual book about this because there's too many truths and too many people and too many different things.
It would hurt a lot, wouldn't it?
It would hurt a lot, and I'd be in court for the rest of my life. Yeah.
So the only way you can actually deal with the pain of it is to fictionalise it a little
exactly.
bit. But in a funny way, that's the only way you can get at the truth of it.
It's more true than anything in a factual type book. There's nothing in the book happened to anybody, but I've met people who finished the book and then came to me and said, "Where is he now?" And I'd say, "Who?" I said, "Mickey, where is..." But, it's fiction.
Okay.
What?
In a nutshell, how would you describe Mickey Collins?
The whole way through the book, he's describing his life events. Basically, he's a petty criminal. Mm-hmm. And he's looking back on his life. He says he's getting on now, he's nearly 30.
Oh my God.
So he's looking back and he's thinking of retiring. Basically, it kind of starts, he thinks back to when he was around 5 and he's running around the streets of Cork, and it's spoken with his thick, heavy accent. He can't speak in any other way. Basically, it's not a gimmick.
That's his language.
That's his language.
That's like children and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So he's growing up and he's getting into all sorts of trouble. And it's not only the small stuff. It is some small stuff, but he's breaking into houses. He's doing drugs from an early age. Yeah. So he's no saint.
He's getting educated in how to break into a house properly, and not get caught.
That's why he looks up to his brother Killian, his older brother, and his uncle Con, and he thinks Con is like a god to him.
There you are, like all children. Yeah.
So he laughs through all this kind of stuff, and it can be a bit hard to take because it's like he's joking at this, and this is serious stuff.
But that's the thing, that's what I love about him. It's his bravery. Even though the deck is so heavily stacked against him, he still feels that he can be happy, that things will get better, that things will improve. He's an optimist.
Exactly, that's the beauty of it. You hit on it there. His life is a series of traumas, and it's all traumatic. Like everything, so much happens to him. But he gets up again and again. He's almost inspiring in the way he's able to do it. His actions are almost traumatizing to the reader. Yeah. But the fact that they happen to him and he gets up and he jumps on, it does become strangely inspirational.
And humorous as well. Yeah.
Well,
in a kind of a dark way.
I've met people who think it's the darkest book they've ever read, who think it's the saddest book they've ever read, and some people just burst out laughing the whole way through. And some people are all of the above.
Either way, you hit a nerve anyway.
I think so. Nobody could say it's boring, at least.
Yeah, that's true. Theo Dorgan had a read of it and he loved it.
He did, and we hadn't met until just recently.
Yeah.
But I sent it to him. He was kind enough to agree to read it, and he did read it. Basically, the reason why I picked him is because I keep trying to show it to people who I think can prove that it's worth reading. Like in a way, I think Theo strikes me as someone who wouldn't suffer fools. You know, he'd tell me if he thought this isn't up to scratch, but thankfully he read it and he loved it. He thought it was great. He did find it a difficult read because he was expecting it to go in certain paths, certain directions that he thought would be stereotypical.
This is a story of a life that has no direction as such.
It does develop. Like Mickey brings us through foster parents, foster homes. He goes into juvenile detention. He's up in court. His mother is up in court. He goes to prison twice. Eventually, he's homeless even. The ante is upped at every stage in the book. So there is a sequential story there. It's a beautiful ending as well, if I may say. So that's what makes a great book to my mind. When you turn that last page of a book and you just kind of get a stamp in your heart or something like, you know.
Now, Kevin, you were saying to me that some people who read this found it was useful for their work as well. Yeah,
I've shown it to a number of childcare experts and social workers, and trauma-informed school teachers have read it. They all basically say the same thing. It's like a textbook to them on how the mind works of a traumatised child in this way. I know he's not a child anymore, but he does speak like a child.
He does, but what was predominant was the voice of a child, even though it's in a grown man. The language is still very childlike.
It is, and like that was a big point in the book. It is about to do with the voice of the child. It's a voice we don't hear. Since 2015, it's actually inscribed in the Constitution, the voice of the child. But even still, like you'd see a lot of redacted notes in courts and stuff. Yeah. That's what passes for the voice of the child. But basically, this book is talking from the perspective of the child. So it's just inviting the reader to listen to this voice, and you'd be amazed at what you find in there.
I'm amazed in how you gave Mickey Collins a voice through your pen.
I don't know, it's just like I took a week at the start just to sort of sit down. I didn't know what was going to come out, and I just started writing about a young kid in Cork and just let him rip, and he didn't shut up. He just kept coming and coming.
The imagination, a great thing.
Yeah, but I wasn't inventing it. I was taking notes as I went, and he kept going. So, like Mary O'Regan and others were on standby throughout as well to say, you know, I could ask them questions, say, if Mickey did this and if he did that,
what would happen?
What would happen next? Or would he go to jail for this? And then we'd say, no, he needs to know more. So Mickey would go off and have another story about something else he did, you know. But Mickey always knew there was never a shortage of stories for Mickey.
And that's what he's good at, great storyteller. Each chapter is kind of a story in its own right. So it's like a series of short stories in a way of his life. And you've done something with the first chapter, haven't you?
Yeah, works great as a book. And I'd love to see it remain as a book, but at the same time I've developed a screenplay for basically chapter 1, and it's like based on chapter 1, so it's going to be like a 20-minute, half-hour movie that I'm going to be filming hopefully soon enough. Actually, anyone could go onto Amazon and find the book on there, Mickey Collins, and you can read chapter 1, read a sample of the book, and so the movie is going to be based exactly on that chapter 1.
When I looked up Kevin Forde, Mickey Collins, as we said at the beginning of this interview, immediately comes straight to either your website page or the Amazon page where the book is available for preview and for sale as well. And it's also available in a few bookshops as well, isn't it?
In a few bookshops, but more and more bookshops should be stocking it shortly.
Okay.
Or any bookshop, if you go in and ask for Mickey Collins, they should be able to supply it, order it if you.
By Kevin Forde. All right, listen, all I can say is just two things. Good luck with the book. Good luck with the short film. All right. And today, when this interview goes out on air, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Kevin Forde and Mickey Collins, thank you very much.
Thanks, Conor. It's lovely.
This is a voice that needs to be heard. I think we should leave the last word to Theo Dorgan. Extraordinary, a remarkably human and humane book. All through the book there are instances, delicately written and almost unnoticed, of instinctive human goodness in the exchanges between characters. Sentence after sentence I could hear the deep music of the city I grew up in. And if that were the book's only achievement, it would be a signal achievement. It is a very fine book. Mickey Collins by Kevin Forde is available on Amazon and some good bookshops too.